Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers, presented by Mortgage CS. Check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to start your home buying process today. Company on MLS ID number 1464766. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me today, the one and only JP Zapata. Charlie will be on in just a little bit. My voice gave out on me on the first woo, but we got a few in there, an emphatic woo, because that was an emphatic win. That's the best I've seen the Flyers play in a long, long time. My God, they end a 7-game losing streak to the Boston Bruins, win 3-2. Game was in doubt the whole way, and it was quite a departure from what we've seen recently. The Flyers typically give up a ton of goals to the Bruins. Played a low-event game today. Kind of seemed like it played out the way they wanted it to play out. Let's try to limit them. Let's try to check very tight. Let's try to keep them to the perimeter. And then if this comes down to a game of one or two chances, we've been really good at that all year, winning close games. That's exactly what happened tonight. I mean, Boston's awesome. You can see with their record, they don't lose in regulation all that often. And they definitely fought back the entire way. They, trailed 1-0, 2-1, tie it up at 2. But it's Tyson Foerster who comes through in the end, and the Flyers kill that final minute and 29 and come away with a gigantic 2 points. How you feeling, JP?
Well, I'm going to give you a big woo as well, because I'm excited after that one, and I'm going to make a declaration right now, Bill. This could sound like a hot take or not, but the Philadelphia Flyers will make the playoffs. And after watching this game, watching the way they played the Boston Bruins, look, the Boston Bruins are a good team. This is a different type of demon for the Flyers. And it's because of the mental hold that it feels like the Boston Bruins have had over the Philadelphia Flyers in the past couple of years. Boston's nothing crazy. And you saw here today the way the Flyers controlled the game for most of it. Boston's still very talented, but the Flyers played their game. And what we talked about as well, when you're playing Boston with all its skill, put that physicality on them. And they were really physical with them as well. And they, in my opinion, the Flyers outlasted Boston immensely. And I think that's so important. And that's why the Flyers are making the playoffs. That's why I feel so confident right now, as we got a super chat already. Let's go.
Oh, absolutely. And we got it from Timbo Slice.
What's up, Tim?
What's it say? Currently at PAX East, watching speedrun of Zelda. Ocarina of Time. I don't know what that is. I know it's a video game. I just watch the game as well. Let's go Fly, boys. Here's $10. Keep up the awesome work, guys. Love me some PHLY.
Thank
and
you.
We love you.
Appreciate
Timbo
it.
Slice. I hope you're enjoying that speed run of Zelda. But no, that's the mental part of this, I think, was huge. Frustrating them, keeping Boston to the perimeter, limiting their shots. They had, I just had it in front of me. It's Boston had 6 shots on goal in the first period, 7 in the second, 7 in the third. Flyers, and it was within 1 every period until the third. Flyers, who came into the period with a lead, 16-7, they win the shot battle in the third. Really turned it on there. I thought that was huge. Obviously, Boston's able to tie it up, but fighting back. But you talk about that mental edge. It looked for a long time. I mean, talk about the last time they beat the Bruins, October 20th, 2021, the beginning of 2 seasons ago. We are now at the end, 2 years later, and it's their first victory. The last 16 games between the Flyers and Bruins prior to today, Flyers were 3-11-2, 3-13, and they come away with a huge victory. And this kind of just really exemplifies what their season has been. They're in this tough stretch of games. We know that the defense is depleted. We know Sam Ersson has been better, but he's taken on a huge workload. This team, last time they played, it was 2 games ago. Ersson, January 27th, allowed 4 goals on 14 shots, was pulled after 20 minutes. We know what happened to Sandstrom in the last one. Gave up 6 goals on 30 shots. That 6th was the killer. But you saw in that last game, maybe the Flyers saw the Bruins weren't impenetrable. They beat them for 5. Maybe could have at least gotten a point out of that last one if it's not for that 6th goal Sandstrom allows. But today, just really limited them, checked them tightly. And you saw at the end there, that face-off after the Foerster goal to go up 3-2. Still a minute and a half left. Boston has shown an ability to just put it on the Flyers in a short period of time. Pasta starts pushing a little bit. He starts getting a little physical on the face-off. And, I mean, they could have called a penalty. I'm glad they didn't. I mean, it would have been cool for the Flyers to be on the power play there at the end, and they have to pull the goalie just to get to 5-on-5. But maybe a little bit of a mental swing here. And now Boston is still, like, in the hunt for the President's Trophy. It's still their 4th win out of the last 17 against this team. I'm not saying, the Flyers are going to overtake the Bruins now. But for this one, they did, and maybe it's a formula going forward for this team with what the defense is, with the guys up front who might not be scoring the way we want them to outside of, like, TK and Frost and Tippett right now, you know? I think it's a little bit of a formula for this team going forward.
Yeah, no, we always talk about it. You know, this is kind of one of the big problems with the power play as well, which did play better here today, but we don't have a lot of the top-end talent, like a lot of the teams like Boston do have. So you're going to have to rely on that gritty, hard work that you've seen the Flyers play with. And I think you mentioned it, what's so impressive is the way they kept the Bruins down with shots. That's an impressive offense that Boston has, be able to keep it down there. And the Flyers did a really good job through 3 periods. And, you know, we got to give the roses here today to Sam Ersson as well, being able to stand up tall. But I thought in general, this was a great just team effort. And just, again, we're going to keep reiterating this in this post-game show. Being able to take that mental edge against Boston. You mentioned it. 2021 was the last time we beat the Boston Bruins. That is absolutely insane, man. Definitely hats off to all these guys. And, you know, one thing I want to mention, too, the unlikely heroes that are stepping up for this team, whether it be an Eric Johnson being on the ground and getting a big defensive play, whether it be a young kid like Foerster getting a game winner, or even like your third pairing of Attard and Jennings doing a solid job.
Doing whatever they can. Well. No. It's listen, they're going to shelter Ronnie Attard. They're going to shelter Adam Ginning. But at a certain point, you just can't. And that's, I think Charlie made a point to tweet out after the second period, like, this is the front end of a back-to-back, and it's not as if anything gets any easier tomorrow. You have the Florida Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just ride your one legit NHL pair for 29 minutes like they have over the last few games. Today, especially for the first 2 periods, a little bit more even distribution of ice time, and I think we're starting to see maybe some guys. We know the Flyers' defensive structure, like, it takes some time getting used to. Anytime you have a bunch of guys learning something new, it's going to take some time. Whether it's Ronnie Attard, whether it's Adam Ginning, whether it's Eric Johnson, these are guys who have not been here all year. And then even Igor Zamula, he's been here, but these are brand new partners for him. Whoever he's out there with is someone he hasn't played with all year. Maybe there's starting to be some chemistry, and we've seen this with the Flyers all season. Now they hit a bit of a skid, whether it was early after their first few wins, whether it was there in January, whatever it might be. Every time they've hit a skid, they have answered back. And now, listen, we all knew what this schedule was going to be. It was going to be tough. 5 out of the last 6 points in the middle of this really, really tough schedule. Now you see light at the end of the tunnel. You have the Panthers tomorrow. You have, the Rangers on Tuesday. And then you get your little reprieve. And you can't breathe. Like, it's not as if, like, oh, well, these are easy ones. No. We have seen this team play up and down against its competition. They absolutely need to get 2 points against Montreal. Absolutely need to get 2 points against Chicago. And that Islanders game, you can basically put the Islanders out of their misery in that one. And then it's, you beat the Islanders, you get those 6 straight points. Now it's you in Washington. Yeah. And you have some other games, Buffalo, Columbus, Montreal again. Those are winnable games heading into the end. And look at that. You see Washington last game of the season. All of this, 82 games, and it could very well come down to that last one. You see the schedule there, and you look at the standings now, and they are interesting as well. The Flyers needed to win today to guarantee that when they take the ice tomorrow, they're in a playoff spot. Washington was off today. They play tomorrow. They were only 2 points back. Mm-hmm. Now you have a little bit of a cushion. Now it's even if Washington wins, you're still ahead of them in the standings, and you have an opportunity at least get a point against Florida. I mean, shit, you get one, might as well get 2, right? But there's light at the end of this tunnel of this 7-game stretch where we went, if things go sideways, they could have, they spent like 105 days or something consecutively leading into this in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, after 2 weeks, you could be out. I don't think that's going to happen now, the way we've seen this team respond. And we have another super chat here from the Suited Bird.
We'll say Bird.
Just pointing out that against the Leafs, Canes, Bruins in a row, we got 5 out of 6 possible points.
That's big.
Soon the schedule becomes much easier. Go Flyers. Absolutely, man.
Big. Yeah.
No, that's exactly what we're talking about. Like, they needed to survive this, and they're not just surviving it. Now, you got to finish. Listen, 2 tough games, and then the whole rest of the month, you go into April. It's not as if they can let off the gas. But for a team that's had the injuries it's had the outside noise it's had, like, listen, no one knew Cutter Gauthier, but it's still a thing that happened that they had to be asked about. The Carter Hart stuff, fucking insane, terrible, out of their control, but it's still something that they had to answer questions about. And now the Sean Couturier stuff, it's just more, and it's hard to call it outside noise when your coach creates the situation, but it's still outside noise. They have overcome this stuff, let alone the fucking defensive injuries. Like, we're talking about Eric Johnson, who wasn't here 2 weeks ago.
I know.
Like, we're talking about Ginning and Adard, who are afterthoughts.
Right.
Like, did not make this team out of camp ahead of a guy like Emil Andre or Igor Zamula.
Mm-hmm.
These are guys 8th, 9th, 10th on the depth chart, now stepping up. It's hard not to be proud of what this team's accomplished. They got to finish. Listen, if you're going to do what they did and decide we're not going to tank, we're not going to tear it down, we're going to be competitive, the onus is on you to get to the playoffs, because there ain't nothing worse than missing by a little and picking 14th, 15th. If they're going to pick 17th, 18th, dope. Dope. But now you got to get in, boys. And like you said, why not us?
Yeah. We got to give a quick shout out to our other super chat. The GOAT
Vince said,
himself.
why not us?
Vince, why not us? I love that. And I think you really bring up a good point about this game is that, look, points are so important. We saw last night Washington going overtime with Carolina. They get the big 7-6 win. Tomorrow night before our game, we'll find out a little more about Washington as they have the Jets before that.
Let's go Jets. Jets got embarrassed today. Hopefully they answer back tomorrow.
That's another one. They got embarrassed by the Islanders, who are also behind us as well. But yeah, big Jets fan over here. So we'll see that game tomorrow.
JETS. Let's go Aaron Rodgers.
But all these points are so important right now. Like we talked about the Boston Bruins, the amount of points they have, a lot of overtime points that they have, man. Doesn't matter how you get these points right now. And I love the fact that the Flyers do know that, and they saw their schedule like, I don't care who we're playing. We're going to go out there. We're going to try to put our place into the playoffs. And it's the Boston Bruins, and they got their win here today.
It's just so big to do it against a team that has
this team, man,
absolutely owned them of late. They'd won 7 in a row. They'd won 14 out of 16 or 13 out of 16. They had owned them, and the Flyers went out today and said, "We've had enough of this.
Yes,
we are absolutely done with this narrative that it's points day against the Flyers." And I think I want to talk about Igor Zamula, somewhat Charlie, but I think he kind of set the tone early. Takes a penalty and interference. Could have been roughing, whatever you want to call it, but little late, hits David Pastrnak. Now, we all know Pasta has absolutely tormented this team, but I liked that he put out there just like, nah, today is not your scoring a hat trick day because you're playing the Flyers. We're going to hit you every chance we get. And I go back to, this was a couple days ago, I saw this quote on Kevin Kurz's Twitter from Igor Zamula. Mm-hmm. He said, when you're playing, the first time against new players like Crosby, Matthews, or whatever, you're like, okay, I need to slow them down because these guys are very skilled and very good. But now I'm like, fuck it. I'll go play against them. It's dream. It's fun. I don't think he got every shift against Pasta today, but the broadcast made a point to say he is playing physically against David Pastrnak. They didn't have the respect for him that they normally do. They didn't play 8 feet off of him and just hope, maybe we'll block the shot. They got in his face today. They were a little more aggressive in the defensive zone, and I think that made all the difference.
I mean, we had a lot of nightmares of Pasta for these past couple of years, and to read the stat line of Pasta today, so he was a -1 with 1 shot and with 20 minutes and 29 seconds of ice time. That is not something the Flyers ever do against Pasta. And yeah, I mean, Look, Pasta. I think in the first period there was the power. I think they were on the power play, and like Pasta had a wide open net, and he missed it wide. And you and I were like,
could have been a different game right there.
yeah,
But
is this going to be a game where we actually hold Pasta in check? And in fact, it did. That stat line right there tells you everything. But no, I mean, part of the big reason why Boston had this mental edge over you was because Pasta was turning up every single time he was playing Philly. And to be
now
able to
2 games in a row, and granted, you lost the last one 6-5. So it's not like you played some great defensive game.
Right.
Also, Felix Sandstrom kind of stunk. So, like, what are you going to do? But 2 games in a row now, you've held him without a goal. I think he had 1 assist in the last game. That's as well as you can do. He is a superstar in this league. He's got 44 goals, I think 99 points on the season. The best you can do is try to keep him in check, keep him in front of you. Don't let him get those wide open opportunities. They did it today, and that's absolutely gigantic.
Bill, I want to say this real quick. I really do hope that this type of win over Boston will eliminate that mental hold that they had over us. Going forward, these will be even games, and we might get more wins over them because the way they played them, it just felt like, you know, like when Steve Young won the Super Bowl '94, got that monkey off his back.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like that a little bit.
And there's just, I believe in the United States of America, there are only 2 legitimate sports cities.
Okay.
Boston and Philadelphia.
I like that.
I hate losing. I feel a
Boston,
kinship
dude.
with them because, like, oh, you're both the little brothers of New York, and it's like, no, you're just a huge city that happens to have a ton of teams. But like, if you have 2 baseball teams, 2 basketball teams, 3 hockey teams, really, if you include
Pretty
the Devils
much.
and the Buffalo Sabres all the way up there upstate, but like, they're not really a sports town. They're just a huge town with a bunch of teams. I think there are 2 towns that live and die by sports. It's Boston and Philly. I fucking hate losing to them. I feel a kinship with them, but like no one wants to lose to their brother, man. Like you go head to head with your brother, you want to beat his ass, you know? Like, and I hate the Celtics, the Bruins, the Patriots, whatever it is.
The Sox?
The Sox are, they always came in, whether it was the Vet or Citizens Bank Park, and just took over. And is talking with that accent. It's just fucking annoying. I don't want to sit next to that. Jesus. I already got to watch baseball for 3 hours. Now you put this in my ear? My God. But no, I hate losing to Boston. It's very nice to get that win today.
Hell yeah.
You know what else is nice? It's better than nice. It's the perfect experience. It's new flooring with Empire Today.
Hell yeah.
Because with Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, as well as a price match guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so you know what that means. They've got copycats, but the copycats can't beat Empire Today on quality, service, or speed. So what do? They just advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire Today won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in their own. The Empire philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles for you. And the virtual floor designer is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. All you got to do is snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code PHLY. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHLY for details. Do not forget that PHLY discount code. All right, I want to start with Sam Ersson today.
Let's do it, man.
So January 27th against the Bruins, 4 goals on 14 shots. He's pulled after 20 minutes.
Yep.
Sandstrom on March 16th gets the start, 6 goals on 30 shots. They get their asses handed to them by this Boston team.
Mm-hmm.
Today, first period, Ersson stopped 6 of 6. Second period, stopped 7 of 7. I thought on the first goal Boston scored, it's a defensive breakdown, but Ersson needs to throw a poke check there. I think he was back in his net a little too much. He wasn't aggressive enough. And then the second, I can't blame him at all. It's 5 guys watching the puck. Zamula, Sanheim, Lawton, Hathaway, Farabee. Every single one of them I will blame before I blame Sam Ersson for that second goal. But this was yet another, all right, kid, you're coming back around. His stat line ends up being
18 saves off 20 shots, I believe.
18 of 20. So it's not, the Flyers kind of got back to got back to made them what was so successful, especially in the first 40, 50 games of the season, limiting shots, keeping the other team to the perimeter, keeping the goalies clean, blocking shots, not allowing rebound chances, clearing the front, clearing the middle of the ice. That is very important for this team as a whole.
Yeah.
20, 25, 27 shots, not going over 30, 35 allowed.
Mm-hmm.
He stops 18 to 20. That's a 900 save percentage. I thought this was the perfect game for the goalie and the defense in tandem. Where, yeah, there was, again, like there's 2 breakdowns, they score, there's a few opportunities, but for the most part, it's why I think there's starting to be some chemistry building, because it's the first time in a while where I go, that looks like what they looked like when they were good. And, you know, 3 different guys on the back end right now. It's different, but they're starting to look the way they looked when they were at their best this season, right before the trade deadline, right before all the injuries.
Right. Like I mentioned, like Ersson looked great. We're not taking anything away from him, but he got help today. Much needed help against a Boston team. Like you mentioned, also had a mental hold on a guy like Sam Ersson too. So Sam in general, though, made some big saves. We saw in the second period where he was on his back making big saves. And that, to me, was probably one of the biggest plays of the game. Those 2 big saves that he had on the Boston Bruins while he was on his back. But no, having Sam being able to play that big in those moments is so important. That's why we are falling in love with Sam Ersson. We're feeling like he is our top guy. But being able to knock that mental hold and being able to, like you said, having that tandem, having the defense being on the same page as your goaltender was huge today. Sam, he didn't see a lot of shots, but when counted upon, it was big, and that's what we talked about, being able to rely on your goalie when you need most, man. Sam, we'll see where I'm curious where Charlie puts him in his 3 stars here today, because, I mean, he played pretty well here.
I mean, TK gets one of them. He scores twice.
Yeah.
Foerster gets the winner, and we all know Charlie's a big Foerster guy. I mean, how can he not be? But those are definitely the 2. So it's going to come down to, does he give Ersson a star, or does he go a different way with it? We'll see how that goes. The big story coming into the game, though.
Yes.
Sean Couturier is back, baby. Coots is back. He ends up playing, I just had it, 13:36, I believe, ice time. 13:09 he played. That's the 4th fewest amongst the forwards. Noah Cates and Ula Lixell were below him. They were his line mates tonight, as was Bobby Brink at 10:54. Did not see a ton of ice time today. That line, not great. Farabee and Lawton both -2, Brink -1. So that's kind of the group of guys. And obviously Brink's going to get blamed for that because Lawton plays a role, Farabee plays a role. But Sean Couturier back in the lineup, 50% in the face-off circle today. Didn't see a ton of time, like I said. I thought he was fine, though. This was he made some plays. I think there were some opportunities there for him. He should be in the lineup. Yeah. Like today is probably what the lineup should be. If you want to put Garyanov in for like Brink or Lixell, I'd rather Brink be in there, but whatever. Yeah. At this point, if you want to put Garyanov in for Lixell, go right ahead. If D'Lo needs to get in because the other team is a fighter, we're pretty late in the season for that. Kind of need to get guys in there who help you actually win. Yeah. But, okay, if there's another fighter out there, you don't want Hathaway fighting them, whatever. But this is pretty much, until the defense gets healthy, this is what the lineup should be.
I agree. I mean, like, listen, we talked about Coots before the benching. I felt like he didn't deserve the benching. But, you know, 1 game, whatever, 2 games, a little bit too much. But now he's back. And I'm with you. I thought he looked okay. He had a couple opportunities. There was that one where he brings the puck in front of the net, tries to go 5-hole, didn't work out. I saw a second opportunity where he takes a weird angle shot. So he was just trying.
The weird angle shot was like subtly dangerous.
Yeah.
And he's been good at that throughout his career, kind of creating those opportunities down low.
So he was trying to find a way to contribute because obviously, like, he doesn't want to get benched. And like you said, we need Coots in that lineup there because of that veteran leadership. And you know, there is a possibility that when he turns up, he can really help you out and win some games here. But, you know, I was happy to see him. But more importantly, I think what I took away from his return back, I thought that 4th line looked solid there with Lixell, And with Cates as well, they had some opportunities there. I thought they were the second best line here today as well.
Who's to say?
Who's to say? But Coots, it was good to see him back. But yes, we need the goals to come. And that's really why he was benched there. So we need those goals to fall in, Coots.
We absolutely do. And what you need to do next time you're looking to take a trip, maybe for a Phil's game, for a Birds game, for some Flyers fun, just keep hitting up Philly Sports Trips on Twitter. See if we can get this Vegas thing going here for that little event at the Round Building in June where you pick first-year players. That whole thing. Maybe tell Philly Sports Trips we need to go out there for that because Philly Sports Trips is the absolute best way to book your sports vacations. We just got back from Clearwater. The Phillies crew had an amazing time down there. Jamie, Renee, and John cannot stop talking about just how great it was and how great it was to have everything planned through Philly Sports Trips because they take care of the whole experience from flights and hotels to game tickets and transportation. They have you covered. They had a catered yacht for St. Paddy's Day. You get the best of both worlds. It's a catered private yacht. You don't have to go out there and participate in amateur hour, which is St. Paddy's Day at the bars, and you still get to party your ass off. Who doesn't love that? Philly Sports Trips takes care of everything. Make sure you keep an eye on allphly.com/events to learn more and book trips. Whenever we go away with the teams, we go with Philly Sports Trips. You're going to want to join us because they just had an awesome time down in Clearwater. And I got to believe it's only going to keep getting better. As PHLY continues to grow, so too will the trips with Philly Sports Trips. All right, it's been long enough. We need to talk about the man of the hour. Now, Foerster gets the winner. Absolutely huge. We have really enjoyed watching him take the steps he's taken lately. He's finally starting to put the puck in the net. Yes, it's hard to say he's had a bigger goal than the one he scored today. Mm-hmm. But Travis Konecny finishes off a nice play for a power play goal late in the second to put the team up 1-0. Gets the second goal on, I don't know what the hell happened, but ended up in the net, so awesome. Allmark, pretty good. He scored 2 goals today in a 3-2 win over those Boston Bruins. And I'd just like to say, I will be taking credit for every Travis Konecny goal for the rest of the season because after I began saying, he hasn't scored a meaningful goal ever. Last time this team was playing meaningful games in the 2020 playoffs, he did not score. No goals in 16 games. Comes back from the injury this year. He's been the team's best player all season. Hadn't scored. Now, goals in back-to-back games. 2 goals today. He got to 30 on the season. Oh, boy. It's going to be a fun offseason leading up to probably July 1st, debating how long the contract should be, the contract extension. He has another year left on his deal, but from all reports, they want to report on July 1st or shortly thereafter that Travis Konecny is signed for a long time. We're going to have fun debating that, but right now, we're just going to have fun celebrating. TK is back, baby.
TK is back. So that goal, by the way, both the TK goal, Foerster goals, holy crap. Allmark looked great, too, all day long. And to get those shots, oh, my God. By the way, you think Boosh still thinks that that TK shot wasn't deflected by Carla?
The craziest one was the Foerster one. He's like, I'm not sure if that, kudos to Foerster for putting enough on it that he put it clearly hits the shaft of the stick and deflects a little, but he put enough on it that it didn't throw his shot off and it ends up top shelf. But it clearly got deflected. But it was a good enough shot that it wasn't really deterred by the deflection, but it hit it. But man, TK finding another level for him, or at least getting back to the level he was at prior to the injury, because he was the Flyers' best player all season. And it's hard to even come up with who was number 2. There is sizable difference. Sanheim has had some really, really strong stretches of play. Cam York has really turned it on lately, and he's been solid all year. Tippett, when he's on, is incredible, and he goes away for periods of time. Morgan Frost has been great lately. He had some disappearing acts along the way. TK has been the guy for this team since day one. And for him to get back to that over these last couple of games, that might be the number one reason I'm confident this team's going to get into the postseason. Because if TK's playing the way he can, this is a dangerous team.
Yeah. We all know what TK brings, but as far as besides the offense, I remember, was it the third period where Foerster gets tripped up and TK's right there in defense of him, and that's the type of stuff that you love. But also too, Bill, that first line here today, I thought they did a really good job. They offensively, they created a bunch of opportunities. They also look good against Carolina as well. You know, we talked about like for a month straight that third line when we had Paling, Hathaway, and Cates. But now we have some continuity with our top line. I love this combination of Frost, Konecny, and Tippett. You know, before the Carolina game, Torts was talking about getting TK going and getting a guy like Morgan Frost, who right now it's clicking for him, and he's doing Morgan Frost is doing a good job of finding others and creating offense for others. And that could be very well what's helping him, helping TK with these goals or this offense production as of late. But what would really help is if we can get Owen Tippett going again, because we know he's got that shot. And like you mentioned, when he's on, he is on, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Tippett picks up an assist today. That line with Frost, Tippett, and TK has been really, really strong.
I've been really liking it.
The last game, TK gets the goal, and we're like, all right, he was still kind of the third guy on that line. He was kind of a passenger. He ends up cleaning up a goal, and that's all well and good. But you want to see him kind of carry that line. And today I thought you saw more of active, assertive Travis Konecny. And Frost and Tippett they both played well, but it's like if those two have to keep up with him, then we're going at all cylinders here. If it's him trying to keep up with them, that's a second line, not a first line. Today it looked like a first line, and that's why they come away with 2 goals. They come away being the catalyst for winning this game. And what else can you ask for from your 3 best forwards? That's it. Those are the 3 best forwards right now. And they won them the game with 2 goals.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. I mean, they're creating chances. It's really what it is. And right now, Torts, as we're getting closer to the playoffs, like, you know, he keeps talking about it, looking for offense, looking for guys who are going to create chances. And those 3 guys are really doing the most. And so if we can get some other guys to fall in suit, obviously, the second line didn't have the greatest, but they look good on Thursday against Carolina. So just some continuity would be good for some of these lines as we head into the playoffs here, Bill.
Absolutely. I think another thing is, winning at home is so big for this team. They have not, despite how decent they've been all year, 19-14-3. They've turned it on a little bit at home, but we're talking about 19-17 at home just by win-loss. We want to get the juice in that building going again, especially heading into the playoffs. Now, making the playoffs, that's still up in the air, and then your first-round matchup, can you even win it? Can you hope to make it a little competitive? Charlie and I at the takeover last week against the Leafs were just kind of talking about what we hope this season results in. Obviously, a Stanley Cup, go on a run, win some rounds, great games, whatever. But if you're just being realistic and taking a step back and thinking, okay, this is a team that I thought a top 10 pick was optimistic for them rather than a top 5, you know? If they can just get this juice going at home, win a home playoff game, and reward the people who have showed up for this team all year, that would be gigantic for this team. And today, I think, just goes a long way in it. To have the moments you had late in this third period where you think TK wins it for you, like you're up 2-1, they get it right back, then Foerster, and you finally finish it off. Today was a huge home win for that crowd. I want to see that carry over into April, maybe into May. Who's to say? But I would just like to kind of make the Wells Fargo Center what it once was in 2012 when that place. I watched a lot of that Penguins series from Xfinity, and you could hear that building across the fucking street. I'll tell you that. Like, I want that back again, and I think today might be the start of that.
Yeah, no, you could tell like that crowd today was into it. It felt like the playoffs away. Even like the boos, you could hear the boos all the way in North Philly. Like it was so loud the way the crowd was here today, and that's what we've been wanting. Like obviously on the ice with the team, we're building a team for the future. We got some young pieces integrated here. You're getting a lot from the veteran players who've been here for a while as well. You're setting that culture. You know, we talked about the Carter Gauthier situation, the Carter Hart situation, the way the front office handled it with flying colors, but also bringing back hockey to Philadelphia, making it a thing. I know you love seeing it too, Bill. Like when you walk into your local Wawa or wherever you're going around running your errands, and you see that orange and black on that kid or on that gentleman. Like, it's awesome to see Flyer love again, because
you always see Eagle stuff. You always see Harper jerseys.
Not see that.
You always see an Embiid jersey. I love seeing the orange and black. You know, Kelly goes out. She, runs all over the city, all over the place. She said she counted 6 Flyers hats on people the other day. Got to go Flyers. You can kind of feel the energy coming back. People are getting on board. If you want to get on board with this team, listen, they're right back at it tomorrow at home against the Panthers. Okay, tomorrow, a little close. You haven't made those plans yet. How about next Saturday against the Blackhawks? You're almost guaranteed 2 points. And you get to see one of the great up-and-coming players in the league in Connor Bedard suit up. If you want to get to either of these next 2 home games to close out the month of March, you got to do it with our friends at Game Time, because buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. So you want to get down there tomorrow for the Panthers game? There's still plenty of time as long as you use Game Time, because you can forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And just look at the timing on this guy. We are now joined by Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat reporter. His name is Charlie O'Connor. Charlie, huge win today. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a huge win. You now this entire week, and I guess you could still technically consider tomorrow's game as part of the week, but I tend to look at weeks from Sunday through Saturday. That's just the way I always will. And this week ends with the Flyers going 2-0-1 against 3 really good teams. To me, I thought the big story, and obviously we'll get into the other big stories because there are a few, but to me, the big story of this individual game is the Flyers' defensive play. I mean, they hold the Bruins to 20 shots on goal. And look, the Bruins aren't an offensive dynamo, but they're certainly better than getting 20 shots on goal. The Flyers have thought defensively, and this isn't taking anything away from Sam Ersson, who I thought played a really good game, made some really big saves at key moments. But for you to hold the Bruins to 20 shots on goal, you need to be playing a complete team defense effort. And the Flyers, I thought in all 3 zones, really with the sole exception of that one play where they tie the game when everyone is puck watching, I thought this was an extremely diligent, tight checking effort by everyone. I mean, Owen Tippett was back-checking like a demon the entire game. He had that one shift where he basically forced 2 turnovers by back-checking. But I thought it was everybody. You know, Eric Johnson has that amazing starfish play that sends the Flyers going the other way. Travis Konecny pointed it out after the game and basically said, I don't think you guys understand how big of a play that was, because we broke down defensively on that play. Like, we screwed up and he bailed us out. Eric Johnson bailed us out with a ridiculous play, and everyone out there, everyone on the bench could see the mistake that was made, and instead we're not talking about it because Eric Johnson makes a really good play. I just thought on the whole, the team played an extremely committed style of play, and it still was close. Obviously, they still have to get the dramatic goal by Tyson Foerster to win the game late, but they're not in position to have those kind of heroics if they don't have the kind of team defense that they had pretty much the entire game, with the exception of that one bad play.
Hey, Charlie, JP over here. So with that, because we were talking about that as well here, so would you say that Sam Ersson was good today, or did the defense just step up? Because I still thought Sam Ersson looked really good there today.
Well, I think the answer is yes. It's not an either or. I think Sam Ersson had a good game. I think he came through, especially in the first half of the game. He had that one sequence where he made 2 fantastic stops on James Van Riemsdyk. He made big saves at key moments. When the Flyers dipped a little bit, he was pretty much always there to bail them out. So I think Ersson was really good, but you have to note that he only faced 20 shots on goal. And the reason why he only faced 20 shots on goal is because the team defense in front of him was really good. So I think it doesn't have to be an either or. It doesn't have to be either it was the defense or Ersson. It was a little bit of both. It was a full team effort in this game. And that was the only way they were going to be able to beat a team like Boston. I mean, Boston comes into this game with the most points in the NHL. I personally don't think they are the best team in the NHL, but you certainly can make that case if you're just purely looking at the standings. Hey, the records are the records. The points are the points. The Bruins are a really good team. And the only way the Flyers are going to beat really good teams the rest of the way, and this is going to go straight into the playoffs, assuming they make it, is these kinds of complete team efforts. And that's exactly what they got today.
No, we talked about the defensive effort earlier, Charlie, and just looking at what this team has on defense. You know, two guys who basically have been here all year is your top pair. Zamula, who's been here, but now he's playing with a brand new partner. And then Ginning and Adard, who are, like 8th and 9th on the depth chart, if you want to say that. And we've seen this team kind of have its bumps and bruises over the last few weeks, and the schedule obviously not all that forgiving. But you see an effort like today, and do you think maybe there's just some chemistry building, people figuring out what exactly they're supposed to be defensively, that they're going to be able to replicate this and keep this thing afloat until maybe they get some defensive reinforcements back?
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Look, do I think there's some chemistry being built? Yeah, I do. I think Zamula and Johnson are probably getting a better handle on each other's idiosyncrasies in terms of how they play. They're probably building some chemistry, some rapport. The Ginning-Adard pairing, they have a lot of experience together in the AHL. It's a different beast in the NHL, to be sure. The players are stronger, the pace is faster, the forwards have more skill. So there's certainly an adjustment there, but there's existing chemistry between those two guys. To me, the big difference, if I had to compare this to a game they played recently, this, in my mind, was the closest thing to the Florida game. The Florida game where, they go into Sunrise, they win that game. It was same thing where it's a late goal, not quite as late this time, but still a late game winning goal, a tight game. But to me, the reason why the two games are so comparable is because in that Florida game, you saw the forwards do so much to back up the defensemen. The back checking was great. The checking in the neutral zone, they were forcing the Panthers, a really skilled team, to go the length of the ice every single time and basically just have to go through waves upon waves of checkers, forwards and defensemen. Look, if the Flyers leave this defense core on an island too often, you're going to see what you saw at the end of last week, which is 2 straight games of 6 goals allowed. That's just a fact. And I don't care how good the goalies play. This defense is not good enough to be left on an island to hold down the fort. They're going to need help. And I thought tonight was the first time since that Florida game where I saw the forwards provide all the help that they're going to need to provide if the Flyers are going to keep winning games. In my mind, that was the comparison, and it's what's going to have to happen. Because again, this defense core isn't good enough. And also, you could say, well, they have to hold down the fort until reinforcements. Even when the reinforcements come back, look, I'm not saying Nick Seeler hasn't been real good for the Flyers. Nick Seeler is not a game-changing defenseman. He's a good defenseman. He's better than most of the guys that are on their blue line core right now. But it's not like he's an all-star. Mm-hmm. Jamie Drysdale, if he comes back, great. But it's not like he was playing all that well before he got hurt. We were talking about how, well, next year will be when we'll really get to see what Jamie Drysdale is. Rasmus Ristolainen, yeah, he would help. But I have no idea if he's going to even come back. He's been gone for so long at this point. So, to me, it's less about holding down the fort and waiting for some help. Yeah, the guys like Nick Seeler and Drysdale and Risto would help. But even if one or more of those guys comes back, they're still going to need the forwards to really, really help out the defense. And I thought today that's exactly what happened. The forwards were everywhere in terms of providing that help that this defense core is going to need the rest of the way.
I want to talk about one of the defensemen specifically, Igor Zamula. Now, I don't think he got every shift against David Pastrnak, but let me see if you follow my logic on this one here, Charlie. We talked last show about Morgan Frost taking possession of the power play. Someone had to do it. Someone had to step up and just go, this is my thing. And it looked like Morgan Frost was kind of building up to that. You talked about him demanding the puck the last game and the bumper and all that. We know how Pastak has owned the Flyers. And maybe maybe Zamula is the guy who kind of put his hand up and said, it's no longer fucking points day for you. 5 minutes into the game, he takes an interference penalty against Pasta. And honestly, do you want to be on the penalty kill? No. But I really liked him putting him on his ass, even if it's a little late, even if it's interference. And they held him off the scoreboard again today. A couple of days ago, I saw this quote. I think it was on Kevin Kurz's Twitter from Igor Zamula. When you're playing the first time against new players like Crosby, Matthews, or whatever, you're like, okay, I need to slow them down because these guys are very skilled and very good. But now I'm like, fuck it. I'll go play against them. It's a dream. It's fun. Do you think Zamula maybe is that guy who was kind of a catalyst to like, we're not backing off him today. It's no longer points day. What did you think of his effort against Pasta today?
Yeah, I thought Zamula was fine. And looking at the shift charts, obviously, it was the Sanheim-York pair that got the bulk of the Pasternak matchup. Sanheim had 925 against them. York had 849. But then you have Eric Johnson got 633, and Igor Zamula, also on that pair, got 548. So that pair was very clearly the secondary pair that was getting that tough matchup. I thought Zamula, kind of talking about like the entire team having a strong defensive effort, I thought Zamula had a really strong game, with the exception of one bad shift that leads to a goal. He gets beat on Boston's first goal, lets that pass go through him, and honestly, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that guy's name because I know I'm gonna mess it up. I wasn't watching the game on tape. I do not even know how to go with what Brazo. I don't know, whatever. But it was a good play, and Zamula got beat. It happens. He's a young defenseman. On the whole, I thought he had a strong game. I don't quite see it as that dramatic as maybe you do about, Zamula stepping up against Pasternak. I like the fact that he's not backing down against these guys. I like his attitude. That said, the bulk of this matchup is still going to go to guys like York and Sam. I mean, this is who they're leaning on. They did do a better job today of, spreading out the minutes a little bit, knowing that they're going to be playing again tomorrow early evening, I guess, at 6 p.m. You can't run necessarily Cam York and Travis Sanheim into the ground the same way you could if they had a day off the next day. But they're still the guys who are going to have to shoulder the load in terms of shutting down the David Pasternaks, the Matthew Tkachuks, the Artemi Panarins. Like, that's going to be them. It's nice, though, that Zamula can take 6 minutes against Pasternak and not get completely killed, though. That's certainly a positive development, not just for Zamula, but for the Flyers as a whole.
Hey, Charlie, let's talk about one of the big storylines here. Sean Couturier back into lineup. Obviously big. Fans were happy about that. So his return, 13:09 on the ice. Couple shots, couple opportunities. What'd you see with Coots today?
I thought Coots was fine. I don't think he was unbelievable. He certainly had some good moments. I thought Lixell was really good on that line, and Couturier kind of served as something of a facilitator to Lixell, who really was rolling today. This was one of, I think, Lixell's better games. But I think this was, in my mind, your normal, perfectly fine Sean Couturier game. It wasn't like he responded by taking over. It was just a normal, good Coots game. And, his underlying numbers, they're fine. He's about 50% by expected goals, actually about 72% by Corsi for, which makes sense. Flyers had the puck in the offensive zone a lot with that line on the ice. And there was that one shift in the third where I think Boston had 2 rebound chances against Couturier. I know that expected goal formulas tend to rebound chances have a high value with expected goals. If you get one chance after another chance after another chance, those tend to be viewed as, very high value plays. So I think expected goals probably does underrate the quality of Couturier's game in this one, because those 2 rebounds are obviously always dangerous, but I think Ersson mostly had the angle cut down. It wasn't like a terribly scary play for the Flyers. I thought Couturier was good. I don't think he was great, but I thought he was good. And, John Tortorella gave him some praise. He acknowledged that he had a good game. He clearly was not interested in going into a lot of detail about it. I asked Sean Couturier specifically after the game if he had a better understanding over the last few days, if he gained a better understanding of what the Flyers and what John Tortorella was looking for from him. And Couturier more or less said, look, I don't really want to talk about it anymore. It is what it is. We got 5 to 6 points over the course of this week. I'm happy to be back in the lineup. I'm willing to do whatever's best for the team. He more or less just tried to, I guess, not dodge the question, but more or less try to throw some cold water on the concerns. That's not to say that there might be stuff going on behind closed doors. I'm sure Couturier still isn't super thrilled with John Tortorella, but I thought it was important that Couturier played ball today. You know, he clearly showed Tortorella some of what Tortorella wants to see from him. So he's pacifying the coach on the ice, and off the ice, he was extremely diplomatic, which wasn't necessarily a tack he took early in the week when, you know, he basically opens up the day of the scratch and says, I don't really like how I've been treated. And then later that night, his agent talks to Kevin Kurz and more or less echoes that. It does seem like Couturier, you know, after that initial frustration, he is now publicly taking the more diplomatic tactic, which John Tortorella is very much going to like from his captain, I'm sure. So we'll see where this plays out. We talked to Eric Johnson after the game. I asked Eric Johnson, you know, look, I know you're new here, but do you think, knowing what you know about coaches, that this was something of a motivational tactic, not just for Couturier, but for the team? And Eric Johnson said, look, I can't speak to John Tortorella, but yeah, you know, sometimes that can be an aim for a coach. And the team defense has played a lot better over the past week. So is there a correlation? I guess that comes down to your interpretation of the situation. But at least right now, John Tortorella got the desired impact. Sean Couturier came back, played fine, was diplomatic in public in terms of his responses today, and the team defense has gotten better. So we'll see how this plays out over the long term. In the short term, it's working out for the Flyers.
Say what you will about John Tortorella and his people skills. 5 out of 6 points at the toughest point in the schedule. What can you say? Charlie, 2 things for you before we get to 3 stars real quick. First, we have a super chat from Go Away YouTube. He says, I'm paying $2 to show Charlie how much I appreciate him. I agree. Charlie is worth at least $2. Now, I guess last important thing to talk to you about today, Charlie, Travis Konecny, a pair of goals. He has 3 in the last 2 games. My question is, how much credit do I deserve for calling him out for never having scored a meaningful goal for this team, and now he's done what he's done? Should we not maybe think about putting the C on me for a week or so?
Then you're going to get benched.
Bill, do you really want to be the captain? You've seen what's happening to Sean Couturier after he gets the captaincy. I don't think you want to be the captain. The C is actually the scarlet letter in John Tortorella's world. You would love days off. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm nowhere near the competitor that Sean Couturier is. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay. I guess Couturier was still getting paid for those days he didn't play, so there's that. It's not like it was an unpaid suspension. He just didn't have to skate. Cool. No, I do find it funny that Travis Konecny starts scoring immediately after you call him out for not scoring in big games, going all the way back to the bubble playoff run. As I talked about on that show, I just think, number one, he was probably rusty, but number two, I think he's probably still playing through something a little bit. You know, I think he likely came back maybe a bit earlier than he would have otherwise, given the place the Flyers are in the standings, how difficult the schedule is, the fact that they have a chance of making the playoffs for the first time in 3 seasons. So it does seem like he is getting back to his old self. Also, he's getting some bounces. Like, that second goal he scored, you know, good play by him. Ullmark probably should stop that. Like, that was not a snipe in the same way that the Foerster goal was. Like, the Foerster goal was just a hell of a shot. The Konecny goal was like on the ice that just barely slips through. Like, hey, you got to shoot to score, and Konecny was making plays all day today. But he's also getting some bounces, which happens when you're doing the right thing. So I love that he's sticking it to you personally. I find that very funny. However, I do think this is more about him getting some puck luck, and also the fact that he's probably feeling a little bit better because he probably came back from that injury sooner than he would have in a lost season, for example.
Charlie, I'm Lou Brown. I want him to stick it to me, you know? That's just what we're looking for. Before we get to 3 stars, Gritty Ross says, bidding war for Charlie and go. Super chat of $6. So I don't know if you have to go on a date with these people or what happens. Charlie is in a relationship, though, so don't expect too much.
PHLY
maybe first base. I mean, it's first base. All right, Charlie. It is time for today's 3 stars of the game, leading off with star number 3.
Sure. So star number 3, I will actually go with one Morgan Frost. I thought he had a really strong game again. Obviously, he only finishes with 1 assist, but I thought on the whole, that Frost Tippett Konecny line, very clearly the Flyers' best line. It's rolling, and Morgan Frost is a huge part of that. He just continues to rack up the points. I believe now he's on a 6-game point streak, which is his career long. And it doesn't seem like there's really any signs of that point streak slowing down. He is involved. He is involved in the game at a level that I have never seen him be involved in games. Even the second half of last season when he was putting up points, there were a lot of those games where he would get an assist and he would be like, oh, yeah, Frost got a couple points. But it was mostly he had 4 good shifts and happened to get a point on one of those 4 shifts. This Morgan Frost that we're seeing right now, he is having an impact on almost all of his shifts. And I thought tonight was just another example of him playing a really strong all-around hockey game.
Let's hear it for star number 2.
Star number 2, I will go with one Tyson Foerster. Obviously, that snipe of a shot, clutch goal, also picks up an assist on the TK power play goal. However, I'm fairly certain that was a whiffed shot. I do not think that was an intentional slap pass, but hey, sometimes you get the bounces. I was talking a little bit earlier about Konecny getting some bounces. That was a bounce that he took advantage of, a bounce from someone else, where I do not think Tyson Foerster was looking to pass that, but a whiff shot turns into a perfect pass to him. What the hell? Foerster came through when it counted. That's really what it boils down to. That was not an easy shot to make. He's got a defenseman on him. The stick's right there to try to deflect the shot. He works the angle, and then he just scorched that one. I mean, that was top corner, perfectly placed. And it shows you, it reminds everyone that this guy was drafted in the first round because of his shot. He was not drafted in the first round because the Flyers thought that he was going to be one of the best defensive forwards in hockey. The fact that he's been that this year, at least by the numbers, is freaking awesome. But that wasn't the reason why they took him in the late first round. They took him in the late first round because he's got a plus tool, and that tool is his shot. And tonight, he just reminded everybody that he can beat goalies clean. I mean, Linus Ullmark is a good goalie. Maybe he didn't have his best game of his career, but he is a damn good goalie. One of the reasons why Boston is so good is because they have 2 damn good goalies, and he's one of them. And Foerster just beat him, overwhelmed him with a really, really good shot at the most pivotal moment of the game. For that reason, he's my second star. He easily could have been my first star, to be honest. It was close.
He won the Vezina last year. He's the reigning Vezina champ. Before star number 1, Charlie, K-Red super chat for $10. He says,
Hey-o.
Charlie is why I read BSH, why I subbed to The Athletic, and he's why I became a diehard. Bill isn't lying when he says he's the best. Been the best for some time now, too. Thank you very much, K-Red.
That's awesome.
Without
K-Red.
further ado, star number 1.
Star number 1 is Travis Konecny. And while I think you could certainly make a case for Tyson Foerster being star number 1, you got to give it to the guy who had 2 goals, who led the team in ice time, or led the forwards in ice time with 1931. It's just cool to see Konecny getting back into form. You were starting to worry, and while I wasn't going as far as you were, Bill, in saying that he can't score in important games, I was worried a bit that we weren't going to see the really good version of Travis Konecny during the stretch run because, again, the injury and everything. I was getting a little concerned. What we've seen, I would say, over the last, let's say, 4 periods, because I didn't think he was very good in the first 2 periods against Carolina, but in the 3rd period against Carolina, and then in all 3 periods today, we are seeing the Travis Konecny who had us saying throughout pretty much the entirety of the year, he is the Flyers' best player. He is the Flyers' most dynamic offensive weapon, and he is the Flyers' best player. He's back to playing like the Flyers' best player. And, to get 2 goals in a big game like this against a really good goalie, it serves as a reminder of just how good Travis Konecny is. I think it's really cool he's hit 30 goals for the 2nd straight year. And there's still another 11 games. So I'm very excited to see what he ultimately finishes with. But Konecny, to me, he is the engine that makes this team go. He is. He is that guy. And is he going to make mistakes from time to time? Sure. Is he going to take some dumb penalties? Absolutely. But he's also going to do the things he did today against a really, really good team in Boston, where I wouldn't quite say he carried the Flyers to a win, but the Flyers don't win this game if Travis Konecny is still hurt. They don't. They don't come close. Travis Konecny was the difference maker in this game, and for that reason, he's my first star.
Those are Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars. Thank you very much to Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat
Charlie.
reporter, Charlie O'Connor. We'll get you out of here before the bidding continues and we're stuck here all day, Chuck. Thanks a lot. We will. I'll talk to you post-game tomorrow.
All right.
See
Bye,
you,
guys.
Charlie.
All right, that was Charlie O'Connor. And you got to remember, this and every PHLY Flyers show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, our friends at Mortgage CS. The spring purchase market is here. It's heating up quickly. Many clients, especially first-time home buyers, they're reaching out and they want to be ready when the rates drop. This is what everyone is doing. This is not some secret, oh, this is my plan. This is what everyone's thought is. And that means there's going to be limited inventory and strong demand. And from what I learned in Econ 101, that means competition will remain extremely fierce this year. So you need to get in touch with Mortgage CS today so you are prepared to ensure you're able to make the strongest offer when the time is right for you. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or you're looking to refinance or you just want to know what you have to do to qualify for a mortgage when the time is right, Mortgage CS should be a consideration no matter your situation, because Mortgage CS is made up of honest, good people and always work hard not to let their clients down. But don't take it from me. Check out their Google reviews. Spoiler, they average 5 stars. It's 5 out of 5. Let's take a look at their most recent review from just a couple days ago. It says, I learned about Mortgage CS from a podcast, and I am so glad I made the call. Ben, Alec, and team were top-notch throughout the entire process. They shopped us around for the best rate possible. In a time with insane house prices and wildly unpredictable rates, the team was able to monitor the rates and got us to catch the lowest dip in months. Their communication is next level, which helps when you're a first-time home buyer. Ben came to closing as well to help explain where exactly our money was going and how to avoid any scams. We couldn't be happier with them and look forward to future business when the time comes. This is what I've been telling you about them forever. It's just the right decision to at least consider Mortgage CS. Give them a call. It's not that hard, because when you think of the word mortgage, think of Mortgage CS. Think of Ben and Alec. Save Ben's telephone number. It's right there on the screen for you. 267-391-7425. Save it to your phone or email Ben at ben@mortgagecs.com. Call or text anytime, day or night. And if you're not in the housing market right now, talk some Philly sports. I bet you he answers. And check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to get started. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID number 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information. Looks like we have yet another super chat. It's Andreas Janssen. Let's go Flyers, all the way from Sweden. I'm glad we got Charlie out of here. It's going to be tough to beat that 27. I'm taking credit for that $27 super chat. All right, that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers today. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you to all our sponsors, especially our friends at Mortgage CS. They are the absolute best in the business. Make sure you check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to get your home buying process started today. We will be back tomorrow for post-game after the Panthers, hopefully talking about another 2 big points. So make sure you are here. Subscribe on the YouTube. Set your reminders. Never miss a live show. My name is Bill Matz for JP Zapata and Charlie O'Connor. You have a great Saturday, Philly.
Time to party.
We all silly like the mayor.